Ladies and gentlemen of the IWC, we bring you to another week of the BrawlCast, sponsored by the Backstage Brawl. I'm your host and your moderator, the People's Champion. I'm sitting here with my tag team partner, Big E, the fantasy book extraordinaire himself, Kid Ty, aka Soft Forest, for this week. And we have a very special guest of the esteemed Jabba podcast, Mr. Blacc, joining us today as we talk about the SmackDown Six. First and foremost, Mr. Blacc, welcome.
What up? Thank you for having me on, man. Thank you, man. Like, I'm hopefully have all of y'all on the Java Tears podcast, but like, I'm excited to talk about my top, who be the SmackDown Six, other things, my wrestling. So let's get started, y'all.
Yeah, man. Like, for those who don't know, Mr. Blacc was also on our live today. We really had a very good live today. A lot of dialogue being mentioned across the spectrum of professional wrestling. I think it was probably one of our more productive broad talks that we've had to date, and I'm glad that you participated and came through and gave that sazon and gave that seasoning on our lives. But today's episode entitled who would be our SmackDown Six since the brand extension since 2016. Originally, when I had the idea, I was thinking about, currently in terms of the SmackDown roster we got now, but Eric had a good question this morning talking about what about the guys from 2016 on. I thought about it. I was like, that's kind of a good idea, considering the fact that although we're enjoying this era of SmackDown, it's not as defined as it kind of was early on when the second brand extension in 2016 took place. So it's a good opportunity. It's kind of like a quick picks, if you will, if you're not familiar with the quick picks. My older brother Jay's, you draft four, and then you have a wild card pick as your fifth, and people vote on this on the third. But here we're not doing the quick picks-esque type of episode, but we are drafting or concocting our own list of six individuals between the time of 2016 up until present, because now we're in 2021. Who would you choose to be part of your SmackDown Six? How would you build them? Amongst a slew of questions we will ask throughout this podcast. Now, obviously, now that you guys know the outline of the show, let's get into it. Since 2016, the WWE reintroduced the brand split because there's been so much between Raw and not so much on SmackDown. Despite that, SmackDown has always been the better show when it comes to performance and wrestling and the freedom that superstars have had. It's always been treated as, well, we'll take whoever you have and try to showcase them on Raw. But at the end of the day, SmackDown always shines light and shines brighter than Monday Night Raw. So they always got to step it up from that standpoint. So with that said, the history behind the SmackDown 6 came back from 2002. Paul Heyman was part of the creative team alongside Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon and company back then. This was the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era as a transition from the Attitude Era into a brand new era, which kind of extended from the Attitude Era, but this was more of a wrestling base, more of a balance between two eras coming together and infusing it with a little bit ruthless aggression, cleaning up on the debauchery, a little more so on the wrestling aspect, and that's what SmackDown provided, throughout the era, week in and week out, and even extended to parts of the PG era as well. So now WWE in 2016 decided, well, we have a lot of superstars we've hoarded between our Ring of Honor and New Japan and all these other companies to try to be the biggest show on the market before AEW. And even now, SmackDown still reigns true. So the question is to you boys, and I'll begin with Mr. Blacc since he's our guest. From 2016 on, if you had six people to be part of your SmackDown 6, if you were with Paul Heyman, Bruce Pritchard, which ultimately 19 years later, it's the same team right on SmackDown, who would you have as your SmackDown 6? How would you, who would you put from top to bottom? Who would you put? Let's begin with Mr.
First thing, I got to put Dolph Ziggler. I feel Dolph is that man that you can put him anything. A tag team, you could put him in a stable, you could give him a single run, and he makes everyone looks good. So that's the first guy I have to put on. The second guy is The Miz. Same exact thing. I like to call him a Mario character where they super all around, You understand? Like, and any way you put in a situation, they could do it. The Miz could run a faction. The Miz could open your show and close the show. So those two. The third guy is, I gotta say, Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is that guy where he doesn't look like your typical wrestler, but you need that. You need a guy who looks like a typical wrestler to actually go out there and just shock the world, like something a little bit different. I just have to say it's kind of a cheat code because they with the free bird rule is the fourth person is the New Day. Them collectively have them three because you need a established tag team similar to Eddie and Chavo. You need someone established and three members to branch out. So I know I'm kind of cheating with that, but F it. Those on the fourth one is yo. This may sound kind of weird, but I'm gonna put a female, Becky Lynch, because Becky Lynch in 2016, she could wrestle. Like she dumbed
Speaking
down her
Ty's
style
language right
because,
now.
yo, she
Speaking
dumbed
Ty's
down her
language.
style because she, was champion. She dumbed down her style, but Becky Lynch to me, 2016 she put on some classes. Her versus what's that girl name? She's part of the Bray Wyatt stable. Alexa Bliss. In that cage match, the match that they used to put on 2016 was amazing. So I put Becky Lynch. And that's so far that's four. I need two more. I have to say, this may sound crazy, but you need somebody who's just like really big, but Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy got to go in there. And last but not least, somebody just overall like give that big fight feel is Seth. Seth is that guy where he could be the top of the card and just get frustrated him and tag team champion with anybody. He's good with the mic and he's good like the tree that he produced, that the fruit that he produced from his tree is brilliant. So those are my guys. You can't go wrong with those people and females because that's how to me when I think about the SmackDown Six says how much they influence the card from top to bottom. And all of those guys main evented a pay-per-view. All those guys, minus Chavo.
I like how you thought about it. I mean, Chavo had some main events against Ray during that time period when he was champ. So and now that he had a decent feud with Jacqueline, he put Jacqueline over as the first female to win the black female to win the title. So there's a lot on that front. That's a really good list. You have Seth. You pick Seth, KO, Becky Lynch, The New Day, Dolph Ziggler, and what was
Miz.
And Miz?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
That's a really good list, man. Because the thing about it is, like you forget how much of a balanced lineup you need when we're talking about when we're talking about wrestling. Because wrestling sometimes, yes, you have your main stars, but you do need a great supporting cast to make a show go well. I think that's exactly what they did back then in 2016 at that time. So Big E, what is your thoughts, man? Like, who's your six?
I want to hear his six. Yeah, facts.
All right. So, as we mentioned at the top of the show, I brought up the fact of 2016, and I brought up to these guys as well. During 2016, we had an interesting feud for the WWE title. First off, the WWE title came to SmackDown, and not a lot of people was feeling it at one point in time. Some people were, some people weren't. And a lot of people think, WWE title is supposed to be on the flagship show. Rightfully so. But you had Dean Ambrose winning right before they did the brand split. And his first feud for that title was with AJ Styles. So to me, 1 and 2, just my opinion, you got to put those two guys there. I think those guys during that time were the workhorses of SmackDown. SmackDown had, I'm not going to say they had a limited roster, but they had more talent that needed to be pushed. I'll say it like that. Because you had Becky Lynch before she turned heel, as to Black's point, she put on some bangers. Right before that SummerSlam, people were trying to give Becky Lynch a chance, and then she had that heel turn, and the rest is history. You had people like Charlotte on that roster. I want to say Luke Harper, rest in peace. He was on that roster at one point in time.
Oh, I forgot about my son Lukey.
There was just so many people on this roster that were just other people didn't see their talent, but you knew the talent was there. So SmackDown was something to be slept on. And let me tell you something, it was classic after classic. Okay, so I got Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. There's no particular order. Number 3, I'm gonna go with somebody young. Probably gonna take somebody off of your list. I was thinking Montez Ford.
Don't you dare.
Nah, I'm not gonna take him. I'm not gonna take him.
But then my fault. I'm thinking this is a quick picks.
No, I'm not gonna take him. Don't get me wrong. I love Montez Ford. I love everything that he does. I think he's probably gonna be a future star because he's very comfortable talking and he's very charismatic. So I don't doubt that. You know, if we were to do this again, maybe 2-3 years later, he's gonna be on everybody's list.
Of course.
You know what? At number 3, I'm probably gonna take Jey Uso. I'm gonna take Jey Uso at number 3.
I like that
because he's proven something to me over this year and a half. He can put on main event matches, and I believe. And if we're going back to SmackDown, especially during the pre-Ruthless Aggression era and in the middle of the Ruthless Aggression era, most of the show were mid-card guys, and those were the ones that were putting on the bangers. Not saying that the main events weren't entertaining, but what you tuned in for, and remember, Eddie was not a main eventer at one point in time. Eddie was mid-card, upper mid-card, and he was doing his thing.
People still check for him. People still check for Eddie during that time.
Edge too, Rey Mysterio. There was a lot of people that were just upper mid-card. Matt Hardy was upper mid-card, got himself over with version 1. So it's like you have to respect the mid card because that's where people used to grind and really just move up in the ranks because they listened to the crowd during that era. They listened to the crowd, but they also were paying attention. So I'm gonna put Jey Uso at number 3. At number 4, I think. I'm not gonna take Charlotte because Charlotte would be that's just veteran presence. I feel like I have that already with AJ Styles. You know what? At number 4, I'm gonna go Sasha Banks. I'm gonna go with Sasha Banks at number 4. I feel like, especially now, I've loved what Sasha has done, especially working both shows during the pandemic. I love what she's done. I love the heel run she's had. I could have took Bayley too, because Bayley isn't a bad pick either. Bayley's not a bad pick either. I think between Bayley, Sasha, and I would say and Becky Lynch, those 3 picks aren't bad. Those aren't bad picks. So, but Sasha definitely, when I look at her and I look at her Raw career and her SmackDown career is more memorable to me.
Stands out more.
It stands out more. Not saying that she didn't have any highlights on Raw. She did have, she had an awesome Falls Count Anywhere match with Charlotte. I thought that was one of the best I've seen.
Wow, I forgot about that match.
Yeah, when she had her on the bar and she tapped her out when she did the Bing statement in the crowd, like that's memorable. That's iconic.
That pop was crazy. I think that closed out Brawl.
It did. Night. It did. It closed out Raw that night. So
they had to deliver because I was like, yo, the fans have to be invested and they have to deliver. And
so
if we're complaining why they get their chances, that match is kind of the reason why at times.
Yeah. Like I take Sasha because she is that big money match. So I'm gonna take that for at least for the women's division. Number 5. I'm gonna take another veteran presence. I'm gonna take Randy Orton. I feel like Randy Orton is
fucking lucky this ain't quick picks, nigga.
Randy Orton is just that guy that like I said, veteran presence, just like AJ Styles. AJ Styles has a different veteran presence. We all know AJ's track record. We all know where he's been, what he's done. He's won championships everywhere he's gone. Randy Orton is, he's bred for this business. And we can speak on him as much as we want. He is the prototype of what a wrestler should look like or what a wrestler should be.
We never had the match between AJ and Randy that we all actually wanted. We never really
it happened.
No, it happened, but not the way we wanted.
Not the way we wanted because of injury.
That and the fact that if it was done promoting on SmackDown, should not.
And I think
we would talk about it more because they, in terms of dance partners, my God, Randy
I feel like that's what
other.
you gotta have when you think about somebody in your SmackDown 6, especially if you got people that are
No. You hold that thought about WrestleMania because that's gonna be a question.
No. I'm not doing WrestleMania. I'm just saying when you have people on that as your SmackDown 6, whoever's in anybody's list, you got to think about it like this: if you're booking it, whoever's on your 6, you have to realize that okay, I could put these two in a match, and I know it's gonna be a 5-star banger. Like I know I could put Randy Orton and Dean Ambrose together. I know I could put Randy and AJ together, and it's immediately 5-star. I can have a program like that to last me to, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm looking at it like this. So that's number 5, and then number 6. I hate that I'm mentioning him so late because it's my guy, but just like Blacc, I'm gonna take Kevin Owens. I'm gonna take Kevin Owens at 6, and the reason why I take Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens is a relatable person to the crowd, and he's always been that person. Like we all know, his main thing is fighting for his family. Anybody can relate to that and honor that. Everything I'm doing is for my family. I'm in here because of my family. I'm risking my life every day because of my family. I'm risking injury because of my family. So it's something admirable. It's almost blue collar like. So I can admire that, and you need to have somebody on your squad that just can not only get over with the crowd, but also get the crowd to hate them. Because Kevin Owens, as a heel, and we've mentioned this on the show, he can get people to hate him pretty much. It's people love to hate him, but then it's like when you hate him, you still love him. It's magic. So that would be my 6. My 6 would be Dean Ambrose. For the hardcore stuff, you got AJ Styles for the indie heads. You got Jey Uso, who can be anywhere on the card. Sasha Banks. Who else did I say? Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And out of all of those people, you can put them in any program. And Jey Uso has actually had matches with 2 guys out of the 6 that I named. He's had a match with Kevin Owens. And yeah. So, I mean, that right there, I got 2 bangers right there as it is. And that's free TV.
That's true.
That's my list right there.
Awesome list. So you got AJ, you got Dean Ambrose, you got your who's the rest? AJ, Dean Ambrose, Orton, you got Jey Uso, Randy Orton, Sasha Banks. That's a good list.
And Kevin Owens.
And I like the fact that we included ladies in here because you do need ladies to make a show.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we got to keep it definitely moving. So as we get to Kid Ty, we've heard 2 people's 6 so far outside of mine. So it's time for you to go ahead and tell us who is your 6.
So a couple of honorable mentions as they've been mentioned around. Miz, definitely a good pick. He was white hot during that 2016 period. I think WWE dropped the ball on him after the Dolph feud, which is a testament to the Dolph feud before their last Intercontinental title match, because they made people care about the title even more. And that was on Miz's run, making people care about the Intercontinental title even before he got hot. So that's awesome. Becky Lynch, absolutely. I was going to say that for my own list, but Mr. Blacc beat me to it. So, credit to you. great minds are thinking in the skies. Trying to think. Let's see. Obviously, AJ Styles. He's one of the few modern day names that's earned the right to be called a SmackDown All Star. That kind of goes without question. He held the brand down. He's like a lot of people compare him to Shawn Michaels. I always compared him more to Bret Hart in the sense that he was the type of guy that could work a mechanical match with anybody, put him in the match. If the match is bad, it's your fault, not his. So for me, AJ Styles definitely at the top of number one. Well, it's in no particular order, but you get what I'm saying. Now this is gonna count as two because it's a tag team. I'm not gonna cheat like Mr. Blacc did. I'm gonna count as two people. Now this might be a shock to some people, but I would say American Alpha. American Alpha. American Alpha is, and I'm picking these names for a reason because I need names to revolve the divisions around. These are the names that are going to hold down the division in tough times, in tough creative times, because we know how WWE creative is. I need people that can deliver at any point, and I need people that other people will have great chemistry with. And the American Alpha, they get compared to the Steiners. They get compared to the world's greatest tag team quite a bit. They are two of the best technicians. I would pick them because not only would they be great to work other people and make them look good and also have these high intense tag matches and make people care about tag team wrestling the way it should be, but they would have their rivals across the pond in Monday Night Raw because I figured if American Alpha is doing well, barring Jason Jordan's injury and all that, on Raw you'd also have the Revival as their Survivor Series enemies every other year. So you'd have the two, separate them, bring that feud back. So I'd say AJ in the Revival. So that's 3 of the 6. Number 4, Samoa Joe. Now, I picked Samoa Joe because to me, Samoa Joe is more of a Raw guy.
You lucky this ain't the quick picks.
I'm just, hey, everybody excluded Joe. I needed to put some sort of Samoan Joe on this list, and I haven't heard the Tribal Chief yet from other people, but I need this one here. Samoa Joe is another sturdy pick for this roster because one, he could play anything. He's at his best when he's playing a tweener anti-hero type character who's just in for his own motivations. He doesn't really care who he aligns with. He's a great hand to have. He could sort of be like your modern day Taker in a sense. If he's the guy that you can rely on to have big matches in and out of the championship picture. So I would have Samoa Joe there. He'd also shine a lot more on SmackDown, even though he's more fit for Raw in my opinion. On SmackDown, he would be one of the top guys and make you care about the brand. He's one of those people you can associate with the brand. So that's number 4. Number 5, Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke, when he came over to SmackDown, I know a lot of people were very excited. And I do think that there are a lot of things they botched in this run. But when I look at Shinsuke Nakamura, in terms of booking position, in terms of the position he could be in, he to me would have been the modern day Eddie Guerrero in terms of positioning. Because Shinsuke Nakamura is the type of person where he can be a complete dick. And he showed this in New Japan, but you love him. He's that charismatic. He's that infectious. He's one of those guys where it's like, he could take a couple dollars out of your wallet and you let it slide. Because, it's like, oh, it's Shinsuke, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. And he's such an explosive competitor. He doesn't have to speak that much to get over. All Shinsuke had, and he speaks perfectly fine English. I don't know why people are like saying otherwise. But Shinsuke Nakamura is the type of person where he's so effortless at making you care that when he actually does try, he's past legendary status in terms of execution. So he's the perfect type of talent, the perfect talent to have on SmackDown, especially if SmackDown needs to build a name and keep a name with young guys or a different generation of guys. So that would be, I believe that's number 5. And number 6 on my SmackDown 6 would most certainly be, I wanted to say Becky Lynch, but out of respect to Mr. Blacc, I will not pick Becky Lynch because he already did that more justice than I could. I would pick Asuka. Now, here's the thing. Asuka's whole gimmick is made for any brand in the company. I pound for pound believe Asuka is the most talented female wrestler that's ever stepped foot in WWE. And you can fight me on that. I know a lot of people are going to say Charlotte, but believe me when I tell you, y'all don't really know Asuka that well. as you think.
No,
But Asuka, the reason why I pick Asuka is because at the time when she was at her most red hot with the streak, her coming over to SmackDown and bringing that type of prestige to SmackDown, especially SmackDown Live at that period, or even Friday Night SmackDown now, she would immediately be a name you'd have to care about. And on a more wrestle-centric show, it'd be much easier to get over that notion that she's dangerous in the ring. Whether she's beating somebody in a quick-ass squash match like she did to people like Cameron, catching them in a flying armbar right off the bat, or having technical masterclasses with some of the people, including a Becky Lynch, right? Asuka's the type of individual where you are guaranteed greatness. And again, if you have a bad match with Asuka, it's your fault. Because she's also very giving in that way. So yes, my roster is very hard-hitting and very wrestle-centric. But on a show like Friday Night SmackDown now, where Fox is pushing for a more sports-centric feel, you hear Michael Cole being much more mechanical on commentary in terms of the terminology, being more expressed like he used to back in the day. I think those six fit very well.
Yeah, because Cole's back in his element. So basically, you got Asuka, Shinsuke, Samoa Joe. The other three names?
AJ Styles and American Alpha.
Yeah,
That's it's an all-around list, to be honest with you. It's a very all-around list, and I sense that from everybody. Which gonna make my list a lot more harder to basically come up with because you guys made excellent points for everybody. Screw you guys for picking one of you guys for picking Samoa Joe and else. But I think one name for sure on my list is paramount. It's AJ Styles. You need someone like that. I mean, look, the run that he had on SmackDown between 2016 and early 2019 is legit phenomenal. I mean, he did everything you would expect. I mean, he is legitimately that guy. You know, he shouldn't have never left SmackDown to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. But he gave new fans a perspective to make sure to watch SmackDown every week and to be intuitive in the WWE when he was champion. People cared when he was champion. And I kind of agree with Tyler, but I halfway agree the fact in terms of the Bret Hart, he's a perfect infusion of both between Bret and Shawn. In terms of the ability to be the showman and to be the technician when called upon, or the workhorse to be called upon in terms of his professionalism. He is basically what Vince McMahon has been missing since he let Bret Hart go originally back in 1997. So it's kind of like some karma. Good karma rolling back on Vince, because you're saying, I have someone like you now. I'm not fucking you up. I'm giving you everything you want. My man's he's won everything. He's just chilling right now until he says, I want a WWE title shot. He chilling. AJ ain't got to go. AJ just don't have to do much. He's done it all on SmackDown. Unfortunately, hasn't been able to do it on Raw because it's Raw, but that's neither here nor there. My second pick, you're gonna need a huge antagonist. You're gonna need a Samoa Joe. You're gonna need a guy who basically, people forget the bombs that Joe threw on SmackDown, the one on Jeff Hardy, or included the best Scythe battle that he came out and dissed everybody in the ring, including AJ Styles. He dissed Orton. Orton broke character. Jeff couldn't keep it together in terms of breaking character. When he got to AJ wanted to laugh so bad. Joe got the gift of gab and the gift of jab.
Ooh, bars.
Seriously. My man can definitely do both. The like everything that he did during that time as an antagonist against AJ, you need that. You definitely need that. Outside of my boy Joe, I got the New Day, the Freebird rule. You need. I agree with Blacc. You kind of need some popularity and some attaché with your show, and at this point, it's hard to argue where their stature is within the company in terms of their all-time status. They're the only group or tag team that shelf life is over 5 years. They're the only group whose shelf life is extended longer than eras. you have to give it to them because they brought a demographic of fans that has been dormant in their company, let alone the industry, for years. No one cared about the black athlete or the black wrestler until New Day basically became the heels, and then now you love them because they had to be assholes for you to get you to like them and take them seriously.
Exactly.
They showed that doing who they are, and that representation will give you great TV and a different demographic to tune into, because now it gives WWE a different layer to work with outside the Great White Hope in the company.
The Great White Hope. That's funny.
So I got the New Day. It sounds like I'm cheating, but hey, fuck it. You do need a female. Obviously, you need a female. You need somebody to basically spearhead the roster and make sure that people fear you and people understand that I'm here about my business. Which is why I put Asuka as my fourth. The streak that she had in NXT was impressive. Amazing. She beat down everybody and everybody.
She has, I think, the greatest wrestling win streak in wrestling history because she went beyond Taker and Goldberg during that period.
It's not even that, and even extended towards that. Even if with her streak, the people she beat week in and week out are no slouches at all.
She
and the thing about it is,
and made them stars in the process.
Right, and the thing about it is, she did all her wins on TV.
It wasn't fabricated. It wasn't made up. We all watched it. We all see it. And then when she came on the main roster and extended that, sure, she lost to Charlotte, but at the same time, that dominance continued on SmackDown for such a great while. It continued right on that show throughout that time until this day.
Away from Charlotte.
Until this day, outside of the most humbling moment or naturally great moment on TV when her and Becky Lynch had that moment when she's a mom. That's the one person Becky Lynch really can't exorcise in terms of that demon in her back. So you have to have someone like Asuka on the show, most definitely. And in terms of and that's my fourth. My fifth, is Cesaro.
The Swiss.
I thought about it.
You have to understand, your list has to have Cesaro on your list. It has to be. He has to be there. He has to be your workhorse. You cannot have a credible champion on SmackDown, whether it's AJ Styles or whomever is on, and not have a credible champion. My fault, my mic messed up. You cannot have a credible champion without someone to basically push you. And a guy like Cesaro. My man can give you 5-star matches. From the time between 2016 and 2017, Cesaro was in high-profile matches and killing in bangers every week. The only thing that stopped him was injury and opportunity. That's the only thing that stopped Cesaro. His trajectory between that time, he was white hot to the point where Vince tried to downplay the fact that he's naturally over.
He could sell an arm fleet at WWEshop.com.
They were saying kinesio tapes.
The NBA.
They were selling kinesio tapes. The stuff that he puts on his shoulder to basically if he's selling an injury or he's hurt, wrestling hurt, which he was most of the time. They were selling those as props to come to the show, or the Cesaro section when he used to do the cutaway suits.
That tape. What is that like? What is that supposed to do?
It helps with muscle relaxation if you have a muscle injury. So it keeps things kind of
really work?
I mean, if you're able to work through it, that the sleeve was made. First of all, Allen Iverson was one of the first people to design the sleeve because of the fact that he had bursitis in his elbow. So
what's bursitis?
Bursitis is basically you have say for instance, say you have a ball of sack fluid around your elbow. John Cena had something similar, but
I was about to say kind of like what John Cena had.
But except John Cena had a torn tricep Because when you mess up your muscle goes all the way down towards the bone. It rolls up like an Achilles. It rolls up like a rubber band. That's how muscles work. For Allen Iverson, he had floating bones around his elbow, which was healable. It wasn't broken. It was just fractured bones.
Wow.
And a lot of fluid. So to combat that and to still play, they put a sleeve and a pad under you. Now with science and technology, they're able to basically, find better ways to protect athletes. Carmelo Anthony, before he used to do the double sleeves, he used to wear one. When he came to the Knicks, he injured it against the Heat. That's why he wore both sleeves throughout the remainder of that season. That's why his shot was off during the playoffs against the Celtics. It's not an excuse, but that's what happened. Beginning off basketball, that's basically what Cesaro was wearing to protect whatever he was going on with his shoulder. Basically protect your shoulders at all times, everybody. But yeah, Cesaro. But back to my point, Cesaro is a person that you have to put. He's my 5. He's my number 5 guy who's gonna definitely give you 5-star matches. And think about that when he was on Raw, giving the 7-match series against Sheamus. That was must-see TV every week before they became the Bar. And you can put him anywhere. You can put him on a tag team and he'll kill. You can put him on singles run. He can kill if you give him the opportunity. Just think, without fans, when you had him against Roman, imagine if fans were there and how behind they are naturally behind this man, Cesaro. For a fact, Paul Heyman's going to want to poach and make a star out of him and make him win the championship.
That is true.
So that's somebody that's going to have in your 5, most definitely. And as my 6, I'm pretty sure it's paramount with everybody, Kevin Owens. He's a guy you can make a natural baby face or heel. He's a guy that Austin legit said, outside of Samoa Joe, him and Joe are 2 guys that you would want to sign yesterday, because not only can you have that feel of someone natural and relatable, you can have somebody that can legit push the envelope without pushing the envelope in modern times. They can work face or heel. They can give you a lot of stuff on the mic, and whatever they do turns to gold because they have enough creativity in their pinky than some of them writers backstage that think they can get them. That's why they're able to be successful.
You're right.
And you need that, and you get banger matches, banger promos, and the storytelling of Kevin Owens when he first came during that time. Mind you, this is Kevin Owens a year in the main roster. He was still up, and at that time he was Universal Champion. So it's not out of the realm to think that Kevin Owens wouldn't be as popular on SmackDown as part of that 6, because he was already champion at that time. He was Universal Champion heading into 2016 anyway, ending 2016 anyway. So he's a guy that you definitely have to look out for, and definitely has part of your 6. Now, as we turn to, so that's basically my 6. I got Owens, I got Joe, I got AJ, I got Asuka, I got New Day. Those guys, like everybody else, it seems everybody has a balanced show, whether it's tag teams or people that you want to place around the show. Now, moving forward, my fault, my neighbor's outside. Who would you put out of that 6? Who would be the champion that you would ride with to run in that era? Who would you ride with to be your top guy in that time frame? Who would it be?
Well, for me, definitely, I'm gonna go Randy Orton. I'm gonna go Randy Orton for me because, and what I don't know if I would have him as a face or a heel. I think I'd have him more as a heel. I would take Randy Orton as my main champion, only because I feel like Randy, whenever he's held a title for a very long time, it's entertaining TV. And I feel like as he's gotten older, the skills have got. I mean, he's always had wrestling skills. I mean, let's be for real here.
True.
But
it comes to him like it comes from
it comes to him like it's eat, sleep, breathe,
Water.
suplex. It's like it's not even close.
Suplex.
It's not even close. I think between him and Dolph Ziggler, they have the prettiest drop kick I've ever seen in the game. But it when Orton's a heel, and especially this sadistic heel turn he recently had, it's must-see TV. And you have a champion that's trying to hold on to a title and is willing to do anything and literally everything to hold on to this title, it's must see. When Orton was sitting there punting people, getting rid of legends, he literally yelled at Mark Henry as he's walking away. I've never felt so sorry for Mark Henry a day in my life. He told me, he's like, listen, leave, go. Nobody wants you here.
And he left.
That's the type of Orton I need.
And he
I need that type of Orton.
That Big Show promo that he cut on Big Show is the reason why he's AEW now.
Yeah. They all listen. A little off topic, but everybody that Orton yelled at and told him that, listen, I'll kick your ass right now. They all went to AEW.
They all did.
Only person that ain't go is Ric Flair.
Yet.
So
because when Charlotte goes, he go where Charlotte goes.
So gotta go where the money is, daddy. But that's just what it is. But I would have Randy as my main champion. I think Orton has a big enough fan base. He's a recognizable face. Not saying that anybody else on my list isn't recognizable. It's just that one, unanimously, three of us have AJ Styles on there, and I know somebody's gonna pick AJ for their main champion. I don't mind having AJ as my main champion. I don't mind having a baby face, but y'all know I love heels. So it's like I gotta develop the story with the heel first. So I would say Randy Orton with the title.
Smart. Kid Ty, before we get to Mr. Blacc, who do you have as your main champion?
Well, I'm not picking AJ. The reason why I'm not picking AJ is because not just because he's shown it already, but I think that one of the main storylines that AJ hasn't really tapped into is him being as vulnerable a babyface on the chase for the title. I think that AJ has been at the top. Ironically, it's the opposite of his TNA run, where in WWE, his biggest chase for the championship was as a heel, and he was baiting a champion into a situation where he could snatch the championship. And then the second run came at the expense, I think, of Jinder or something like that, where he took it from an inexperienced Jinder. Him having a compelling challenge to take the championship from, I think, is an avenue they might play around with on his road to the end of his career. But we've just never seen it in WWE, and I'd rather see him do that because we've seen him in such a top spot for a while. He's been the Iron Man in WWE for a while for a lot of their stuff. So I'd like to see him with a little bit less armor and taking a couple more bullets, if you get what I'm saying. So for me, I need a champion that can fit any situation, and I think that champion is Samoa Joe. The reason why I would pick Samoa Joe is because Samoa
I hate
Joe,
you, Tyler. Damn it!
Hey, man.
I hate you.
Man. We going. I love the fact that you made tribute to my list and yours. Samoa Joe is Samoa Joe is the ultimate individual to have as a champion because he checks every single box. You want a believable champion on the mic and in the ring, you have Samoa Joe. You want someone who could dominate as champion, check his resume in Ring of Honor. There is no person on any of our lists, no offense to anybody, who's proven they can be a better world champion than Samoa, just proven they can be